What if the lessons that you've been ignoring are hiding in the sidelines of a football field? Marc Nudelberg has spent his life straddling two worlds, high-stake athletics and high-tension business. After over a decade coaching Division I football, building discipline, grit, and performance, he joined the family business and rebooted On the Ball, a company with 25 plus years helping organizations sharpen their sales, leadership, and culture. Marc doesn't do generic training. He brings his coaching mentality and a relentless focus on daily habits, process, and mindset to leadership development. He's known for a philosophy of getting 1% better every day, believing that small, repeatable wins compound into the extraordinary cultures and results. He's been recognized as a TEDx speaker, author, and leader who blends sports intensity with business practicality. Under his leadership, On the Ball has become more than a coaching agency. It's a crucible for high performance, a culture where discipline meets empathy, and where leaders are forged in consistency and connection. This is a conversation about how loss and failure build strength, how everyday discipline shapes legacy, and what it really takes to lead when people are watching and relying on you. And before we start this episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth, and the 90-Day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Jane, a graduate who says, and I quote, "The Deep Wealth Mastery Program prevented me from making what would have been one of the biggest mistakes of my career. I almost signed on the dotted line with an unsolicited offer that I now realize would have shortchanged my hard work and my future had I accepted that offer. Deep Wealth Mastery has tilted the playing field to my advantage." Or how about Lynn? Wow, he gets right to the point, and I quote, "Deep Wealth Mastery is one of the best investments ever made because you'll get an ROI of 100 times that. Anyone who doesn't go through this will lose millions." And as you're listening to these testimonials, are you wondering if you have the time? Are you even thinking that you've got this covered? You have the advisors or people in your network? Well, I got to tell you, these myths, they're often behind the 90% failure rate for liquidity events. Think about it. You have one chance to get it right for your financial freedom. You really want to make it count. And when it comes to time, let's hear what William has to say. We just got in this testimonial. William says, and I quote, "I didn't have the time for Deep Wealth Mastery, but I made the time and I'm glad I did. What I learned goes far beyond any other executive program or coach I've experienced." So what do you think? As I hear that, that's exactly what gets me out of bed every day. That's my mission. That's the team's mission here at Deep Wealth, to literally change the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. And my Deep Wealth Nation, what I want you to know, the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it isn't theory. It's from the trenches. It's the only one based on a 9-figure deal. And that deal, that was my deal. You know my story. I said no to a 7-figure offer. I created a system that later on, myself and my business partners, we said yes to a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. That's what we now call the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or the Scale for Ultimate Sales system. It's built by business owners for business owners. So if you're interested in growing your profits, for preparing for a future liquidity event, and that may be 2 years away, it could be 22 years away, whatever the time may be, you want to do this now, and you want to optimize your post-exit life. Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. To get started, email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. You'll receive all the information about the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or better yet, why not hop on a complimentary strategy call? We'll go through exactly where your business is today and what's standing between you and your financial independence and your dreams. So that's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you. They're looking to grow their businesses, create market disruptions, and unlock their financial freedom to get what they deserve. And whether you've been in business for 3 years, 40 years, you're a startup, you're in manufacturing, you're in high tech, low tech, whatever the case may be, come on in and network with other business owners. It's a safe space. It's a confidential space with business owners, with businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. So again, the 90-Day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Deep Wealth Nation, welcome to another episode of the Deep Wealth Podcast. Deep Wealth Nation, let me be honest with you. Let me ask you some questions. When it comes to your business, are you where you want to be? Or do you keep on looking at that oh so distant goal? It seems further by the day. You're wondering, how do I get there? What do I need to do? How do I get from there to here? And I'm sure you're nodding your head saying, yeah, Jeffrey, what do I need to do? Because I've been there all too many times to count. Well, great news. We have a very special guest in the House of Deep Wealth. You heard it in the official introduction. We're going to go from the sports arena to the boardroom arena and everything else in between. So Marc, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. There's always a story behind the story. What's your story? What got you from where you were to where you are today?
Jeffrey, first, let me say thank you for having me as a guest. It's an honor to be here and to be with your community. And that's a loaded question. What got me from where I was to where I am now? Because there is so much. Grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, my dad, all business owners, different styles of business. My family started in retail. My dad moved to B2B and built a marketing agency. And then, sort of as like the defiant little one that I tend to be sometimes, I went off on my own path and I blazed a trail for myself inside of college football and major college football as a collegiate coach, coaching special teams. And did that from the time that I was an undergrad in college through 10 years after that. 5 different Division I schools, all different kinds of size of football, from the University of Florida and Florida State, major Division I, all the way down to Lafayette College and the Patriot League and a small FCS program. But all of that taught me about developing people, taught me about developing culture, taught me about what it took to build a business, watching my dad build it out of our backyards, and the parallels from watching his entrepreneurial journey as a kid to now watching how those same disciplines of consistency, of time management, of priorities all showed up inside of sports, and the way that we converted that into a day-to-day practice for ourselves to then full circle it being a part of our business and what we do and how we work with organizations across the country.
Wow, love what I'm hearing. Let me ask you this just before we jump in. Growing up in an entrepreneurial environment, at least from my perspective, being entrepreneurial myself, and like you, having my father and my uncle and others that were entrepreneurs, what was it like growing up in that kind of environment? And as you look to your own business now and what you've been doing and how you've been helping others, how has that helped? Or maybe it didn't help. I don't know, but how was that?
It was cool is a great way to describe it, right? Because particularly with what my dad was building in his business, it was a sports marketing agency. It gave us access to teams and athletes and unbelievable events and building sponsorships with brand names like Eckerd's, which was the biggest drugstore at the time, and the Miami Dolphins. Like, it was cool as a kid because I got access to all of these things. But then it was also really interesting because you were in the car for the phone calls when you had to be super quiet. And you were in the house when things weren't necessarily going the way that we wanted them to go. And you were watching the behind the scenes of dealing with that, whether it be deals that went sideways or employees that didn't execute the way they were supposed to, or partnerships that didn't work out. And so having a front row seat as a kid, watching that, and then going to school and hearing your friends talk about your dad like he was the coolest guy on the planet. And it was just the best thing that could ever happen. Like you were some kind of celebrity, but knowing that it wasn't everything that it looked like on the surface was interesting. And I think it taught me a lot about discipline, about sacrifice, about how to show up for people regardless of what was going on. I love to listen to other entrepreneurs. And Jerry Jones tells a story about being leveraged to the max and having a deal go sideways and like being crippled and literally picking up the phone a second later and putting a smile on and being able to do a deal 1 second later. I learned that as a kid. And so I think that offered me a lot of skills and understanding that served me very well as a young person, that helped me propel my career in college football early on.
It's interesting. As you're talking about that, I'll take us down the rabbit hole for just a minute, then we'll get right back on track, although it's all related. I was in one of our Deep Wealth masterminds, and there was an entrepreneur who was not new at being an entrepreneur, but was a new father, just had the birth of a child. And he said, Jeffrey, I don't really know how I should be handling my business and my child, and I feel so much pressure. So Mark, having been down this path and seeing the good, possibly the not so good, everything else in between, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs, whether they're a new parent or maybe even a new grandparent? They have a grandchild that's come into the world now and they're still doing their entrepreneurial thing. Who knows? What would you say for them from you having been in a multi-generational entrepreneurial family, growing up in that? Any advice?
Two things. Create some boundaries where you have exclusive time with them and they know you're there and present with them and it's about them. And then don't hide or shield them from anything. Like being privileged or being around the conversations that my grandfather was having with my dad as he was figuring out how to exit the retail shoe business. I didn't know what I was hearing at 6, 7 years old, but you still absorb it and it still sinks in there. And it creates an experience that as you get older, you will be able to pull on and leverage from and ask questions about. And so I think far too often there are entrepreneurial parents who feel like, oh, I'm supposed to hide these things from the kids and just separate business and family. And I think that's not the case at all. I think the more you can create as much continuity as you can between all of it. You need to have dedicated family time. You need to have time where your phone is down and you're not reachable and it's dedicated for them. But don't hide or shield them from anything because it's all experiences that they'll be able to benefit from.
Yeah, you and I are reading from the same playbook. I know for me, I threw the concept of balance out the window. I said, hey, if you want balance, go watch a movie, go read a book. It doesn't exist. But instead, it was blending. And so if I had, let's say, a conference, it was in a fun place, maybe there was a theme park or it was just a really nice, relaxing beach or something else, I'd bring the family with, especially when the children were younger and it was easier to do that with them
Yep.
at the conference and then at the nighttime. And when the conference was done, it was all family time and it was both back and forth. And hopefully, to your point, imparting some of those entrepreneurial lessons as they're growing up.
I'm partnered with my dad now in our business, right? He's 65, I'm 39, and today we had a business lunch together and I rode with him in his car to the business lunch and I literally took a picture of us in the car and I was thinking to myself, I've been doing this since I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Like I've been going to business lunches with my dad since I was a tiny little kid. And who would have thought 32 years later, my life would take me as far away from that as possible and all the way back to it. And I'm just grateful that that I have that perspective and that experience of I've been doing this for so long with him. And I'm so fortunate to be able to do that.
Yes, a magic moment, if there ever was one. Just cherish that, take that in. We'll look back years from now, decades from now. Wow, that was a
Right.
time. Look at me and
Right.
dad doing that.
Yep.
Absolutely. Love that. Okay, so memory lane, we'll keep that off to the side. Maybe we'll revisit it. Who knows? Let's talk shop now. So,
Mhm.
what I love about one of the things that you're doing a whole number of things. Most of the entrepreneurs that we work with here at Deep Wealth, their Achilles heel, their weak spot is what you focus on. And that's growing revenues, growing profits, sales, getting the word out there. And the biggest complaint I'm hearing is, Jeffrey, we're the world's best kept secret. Can you help us with that? So, Mark, is it the good old Pareto's law, the 80-20 principle that, yeah, 80% of the challenges most entrepreneurs are facing are coming from the same 20% of these issues? And maybe it's not 20%, it could be 5% or 10%, whatever it is.
Yep.
What's going on out there? Generally speaking, and I know every business, every entrepreneur is unique. Are there patterns, though? And what would you want us to know of where as entrepreneurs we're, I'll use a different F word, failing? Earlier, we were talking about the other F word, fun, but the
Yep.
failing side. What can we learn so we're no longer struggling forward? We're getting sales effortlessly. What should we stop or start doing?
I think people are, number one, really unclear about what drives revenue. And sure, if you have a widget or you have something, then maybe Instagram and Facebook ads is the way to reach millions of people super fast and easy to transact on. If that's your business and that's the one thing that works, 99% of businesses are not going to operate that way and not the actual effective behavior to drive revenue. The thing that's going to drive revenue are the relationships that you're able to develop as a founder that will create significant growth for you in your business. And so I don't care how big your team is. I'm of the mindset that CEOs and business leaders should always be a part of the revenue generating process. And so that means you should have dedicated prospecting time on your calendar. And then I think that leads us to the next problem, which most people don't understand what real prospecting is. They think it's having a leads list with information and picking up the phone and cold calling that person to get a meeting with them. And that's not what it is at all. Real prospecting is like detective work. It's about doing real deep research on who that person is, what matters to them, and where the best place to get them is, so that you can show up in their world in a relevant way that says, I'm not here to sell you anything, but I'm here to see if there are ways for us to help each other. And it's a reciprocated relationship where we're able to give and take to each other. And if you're open to that kind of dialogue, maybe there's opportunities for us to actually work together. And if that is what they had on their calendar, was dedicated time to identify who real influencers would be in their business, not Instagram influencers, not social media influencers, but real centers of influence that can either create an inflection point in their business themselves or introduce them to people that can create an inflection point. And they spent time researching them to figure out how to reach out to them, meaning what am I saying that's going to create a tie for us, and where the best place to get them is, whether that's through social media, whether that's through email, whether that's through text, however the best place to get them is, however we find that. And then reaching out to those people consistently to do nothing other than have a virtual conversation with them. There would be no problem. There would be no revenue problem. They would have an unbelievably healthy pipeline, but two things are happening. Number one, they don't know what that really looks like, so they can't schedule it. And then number two, they're not scheduling it. So you have to be able to identify and understand what real business development work looks like. And then you have to consistently calendar for yourself, not more than a half hour. It could legitimately just be 30 minutes a day that you dedicate to that effort that will create significant gains in their business.
Okay, Mark. So as you're walking through this, and this is going to be a new concept for Default Nation, so let's really break it down to some of the fundamentals here.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is, hey, we'll get there with AI, artificial intelligence. It's not like I just type in some prompt, okay, just do this or do that. For something to actually work, it's old school detective work that I'm doing here. That we have the benefit of some tools and some technology behind the scenes with that. But you said something interesting. Find an influencer in my space, not necessarily a social media influencer, but an influencer who is doing what I'm doing, but on the flip side of things, or maybe knows people who I could really help and get
Yeah.
things going on the business side. So I have to identify them, find them. And so a little bit easier said than done, even before we do an outreach to them. How are we identifying them? Because there's so much noise out there now. And although we have technology and it makes things infinitely easier, you could say it makes it so much harder because there's more, I'll call it garbage in, garbage out to get through.
Sure. So the things I want to see are who their relationships are with,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we believe in LinkedIn as a business development tool, as the number one business development tool in the world.
Okay.
It's going to give me access to who this person is and who that person knows. So there's a couple of things I'm going to be able to verify right off the bat. Is number one, I can look at their history. I can look at what they're doing. And if I'm looking for investors, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for people who have been in the space with experience, or I'm looking for people who are a vendor of people in my space that would be able to create introductions, all that's going to be visible for me right there on their profile. So I'm going to be able to check the criteria of who they are. And LinkedIn offers you unbelievable ways to be able to search this. You can go into the search bar and you can search keywords. You can search experience. You can search geography. You can search so many different filters for yourself to narrow this billion person platform into just a few specific people that you know are your targets, to then say, okay, do they have the right relationships? Because just because they have the right experience doesn't mean they can necessarily influence you with a ton of relationship capital. So I can go into their network, I can see the people they're connected to, I can filter those people to go, yes. Not only does this person have the unbelievable experience I'm looking for, but they also have the network of people that I know can help us create the right influence in our business. And then that profile is going to give you a ton of information that you can leverage to reach out to them. It's going to give you where they went to school, right? And alumni marketing is the number one type of marketing you can do when it comes to people, because 99% of people have a strong affiliation with where they went to school. So if I can leverage that in the conversation somehow for myself, that gives me an unbelievable way to connect with this person one-on-one. It's also going to tell me where they've worked and where they've lived. If I can leverage that in a way that's relevant to me, excellent. It's also going to tell me the people they follow on LinkedIn, whether it be business leaders or content influencers, whoever those people are. Can I leverage that in a relevant way to myself? And then lastly, it's going to tell you about the interests they have. It's going to tell you about the nonprofit boards they've been on. It's going to tell you about the nonprofit organizations that they've worked for or supported. If that somehow relates to you in a way that you can reach out to them, you have an unbelievable tentacle of connection points that you can leverage to connect with that person on a human basis, not based on what you want them to do for you or what the ask is.
Okay, and talk about that because you read my mind and you've been there, I've been there. A complete stranger reaches out to me and they're probably doing it all wrong. They haven't been coached by you. They don't know your systems, Mark. And they're saying,
Right.
hey, Jeffrey, do you know so-and-so? Do you think you can do an introduction? And I'm like, who are you? And why am I going to
I don't
take
even
time
know
out of
you.
my
Why would I
day?
do
I don't
that?
even know you. Why am
Right.
I going to take time out of my day and do that? So how do we approach it? And as I like to say here at Deep Wealth, the world's favorite radio station for every single person is WII.FM, the What's in it for me radio station, but not for us, but for the other person. So, Mark, let's say I've identified you
Yep.
as that influencer, either directly or people who can help. We've never spoken before. I don't even know you. You're not even a first connection with me on LinkedIn. You're a distant third or fourth or whatever. How am I approaching this? Generally speaking, what would I be doing?
So if I were to go to your LinkedIn profile, I would imagine that it would tell me that you've lived in Hollywood, Florida, and I would go, "Oh wow, Hollywood, Florida. He's a neighbor of mine." So I would reach out to you because I know something about Hollywood, Florida, and I would say, "Hey Jeffrey, love connecting with fellow neighbors. Have you ever been to one of my favorite restaurants, Taverna Opa? I took my wife there years ago on one of our early dates, and we have great memories there. I'd love to connect and share stories about Hollywood if you've got 15 minutes on your calendar over the next few weeks." Period. Done. End of story. Because all I want to do is get into a dialogue with you where I can build connectivity. And if we can build connectivity and we can build some rapport with each other, then comes the opportunity for me to go, "Hey, Jeffrey, how can I help you? Is there anything going on in your world that I can do for you?" And if you're at a place of giving and instead of receiving and you don't actually have any, you know what? I'm really great. I don't have any particular ask for you right now. Is there anything I can do for you? Funny you should ask, Jeffrey. I had seen that you were connected to this person on LinkedIn. How well do you know them? And would you mind connecting me if you do?
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is it's the good old fashioned, hey, let's just get to know each other. We've got something in common. We went to the same high school, or we live in the same
Bingo.
city, or I've been here, you've been there, or we have some of the same contacts. But Mark, I got to tell you, not to give you a hard time by any stretch, because I'm your raving fan here.
Yep.
When I hear from people in similar situations, Jeffrey, I don't know what to do. I'm just getting an outpouring of all these requests, and they all sound like terrific people. I just don't have the time. So, how do we really stand out from the crowd when we're asking those kinds of things when we don't know each other? We have something at the end we'd like to be able to get some help with, but to get there, what else can we be doing?
So the other thing that I can look for are the things that are important to you, right? So let's say, great, I have a commonality, but I can also find out that you're on the board of Junior Achievement. And I know that Junior Achievement has a event coming up at the end of the year. And I can say directly to you, "Hey, Jeffrey, I saw you on the board of Junior Achievement, and I know they have an event coming at the end of the year. If there's anything I can do to support that event, I'd love to grab 15 minutes with you, hear about it, and see how I can do that." I'm showing up to you with something that I'm assuming, right? I'm guessing a little bit because I don't know you yet, and I'd love to be able to get to know you, but it's clear to me that this is something you're involved in and something they're doing. And if there's ways I can provide value to that, I'm winning. I'm showing up and giving equity into this relationship before I ever ask for anything.
And so, to me, what it really sounds like, if I can paraphrase a well known saying, go the extra mile, expect nothing in return. I'm making this up. Hey, Mark, I see that we're neighbors, and you know what? I found this terrific restaurant. It's actually right around the corner from you. Next time you're there, try it, enjoy, mention my name. I've already spoken to The
Yes.
owner there, and he has a
Yes.
special table waiting for you. No
Yes.
obligation, nothing's in it for me. I just saw that and just wanted to say hi to a fellow neighbor
Yes.
online. Maybe one day we'll meet up. Just something like that, just to be different.
Bingo. You're giving people value. And if you can do your homework to figure out what matters to those people first, and you're showing up saying, I care about what matters to you, you are immediately putting yourself at the top of the class when it comes to outreach and when it comes to connecting with people, because everybody is what we call an asshole. They are showing up with their ask over and over and over. And it's the first thing they're doing, and they're making it loud and clear for you. And they just feel like if I ask enough times, I will eventually get it. And what they're actually doing is burning unbelievable relationship capital that they have for themselves that they didn't even know what could have come had they just chose to invest in it early.
Okay, got it. Okay. So doing my homework, really looking how I can add value, particularly if there's something there that can help me down the road. But that's just part of it because I would love to hear your thoughts on what we like to call here at Deep Wealth the narrative.
Yeah.
What's my narrative? What's my story? What's my outreach to you? The best homework in the world with the worst delivery, the worst narrative.
Yep.
It's all for naught. I probably shouldn't even be doing it because I'm likely not going to get results.
So this is what I think is broken with most sales training is people are telling you to have your 15-second elevator pitch. And we all know as founders of our business, it's impossible for me to accurately and clearly describe my business that fast in order for you to really care about it. So what I would prefer us do is figure out how to present that information to somebody in a relevant way. So if I can build rapport with you, right? Then I've earned, and I feel like I've earned the right to talk business with you. I could say, hey, Jeffrey, do you know anything about on the ball? And you would say, I know very little. And I'd say, well, do you want to know about on the ball? And you can say, yeah, absolutely. Now, I have to be able to clearly and succinctly deliver to you what we do in a unique way that doesn't give you everything that we do, but that gets you to ask the question, well, what does that really mean? Or how do you do that? That's what I want you to say is, well, tell me how you do that. So if I were to say to you, oh, we help businesses grow by developing their people as both modern sellers and leaders on a daily basis, I would hope that your response would be, that sounds interesting. How do you do that? And then I would say, oh, well, thanks for asking. We actually do it through three ways. We do it through self-led virtual masterclass style training. We do it through group virtual coaching 5 times a month. And then we do it through unlimited access to individual coaching at the request of the employee. Wow, that sounds different. Now I'm hoping that you are going to continue to ask me questions because you're interested. And if you don't, then I know that you're not interested and we're not a good fit, and that's okay. I don't have to create interest for you. Either there is clear interest because there's a pain point or a need, or there's not. But I didn't show up with a 25 perfect word pitch that gives you exactly everything we do, and you're able to walk away going, I need to buy that right now. Nobody purchases that way, particularly in today's world.
Yeah, exactly. And you're really bringing things back to basics. This is the way things used to be done. Don't get me on my soapbox with social media and all of that. That's a whole other, not just episode, a whole series. Okay, so we're building some rapport. We're looking for the what's in it for them, of how we can add value. And if there's something for us, that's great, but we're not making that a predeterminant going in. Well, I'm only going to help you if you help me. It's the other way around. Hey,
Bingo.
saw this, caught my attention. I just wanted a quick shout out. Never spoke to you before, but you might find this of interest or you may find this of value. I hope you find this. I found that, and whatever it is. We're going down the path doing that. And then it's your whole system. So walk us through your system, Mark. So imagine now I'm showing up. Okay, Mark, sales are down, profits are down. I wanted to just catapult back to where it would be. We've lost our magic touch. Can you help us? And I know every company is different. Every entrepreneur has their unique things about him or her. But generally
Sure.
speaking, what's your secret sauce? What am I going to be doing with you in your system? Not so much where it's more just online and me going online, but really more with you either in the group or the one-on-one sessions that you're doing. How long is it taking? What am I going to be expecting result-wise coming out of it? What's going on there? What would you want me to know?
So, what I would tell you is that if you are willing to change your behavior and you're willing to change the way you think, which will then change the way you operate, and you're willing to do the work to learn that to set yourself up for success, there's no reason you shouldn't be adding deals to your pipeline in the first 30 days. but we have to retrain the brain first. And so all of our time initially is spent with you, helping you unlearn sales. Because everything that you've learned about sales is to show up, knock on the door, ask for the meeting, present your solutions, qualify the people with their problems, and it is all transaction based. And we live in a world where transactions only happen from relationships. You have some kind of emotional tie, you have some kind of feeling that pushes you to create that transaction. So we need to reframe our brain, and our only goal up front is to earn the right to talk business. And then once I've trained my brain that I know all I'm willing to do is earn the right to talk business, then if I can say, number one, we can be friends. Let's test this out. Let's see how we're going. It's clear we can be friends. And two, I want to earn the right to talk business with you, which if I've built a friendship with you, that should be clear that I've done that. The next thing I want you to do is give me a problem you have. Jeffrey, what's the biggest problem in your business right now? I would love for you to tell me that it's revenue. I would love for you to tell me that it's pipeline development. But you know what? The reality might be we've been dealing with a digital marketing agency and we're spending a ton of money and it doesn't feel like we're getting anything for it. And I would love to be able to solve that. Well, this brings me back to retraining the brain as a seller. We often think that the only way for us to provide value is with the actual service of our business. As a modern day seller, whether you are a founder or whether you are a business development executive, you have three ways to provide value to a prospect. The first one is to be able to connect them to somebody, sharing your relationship capital. So if I can connect you to somebody that might be able to help you with your marketing agency problem, with your unhappiness with your current vendor, that's a win for me. And if I solve that problem for you, you are twice as likely to come back to me with another problem, specifically if it's the problem that I solve. So all I'm trying to do is get a problem, not get the problem I solve, just get any problem. Because if you trust me enough to give me a problem and I can solve that for you, it is a high likelihood that we will end up doing business together. Because once I've solved that problem for you, I've opened up the door for me to say, well, do you have any revenue problems? How's your pipeline development? What playbooks have you developed for your sales process? Do you even have a sales process? Are you open to talking about people you've worked with for sales training or leadership development? Any of these questions, right? Which I think is an important understanding of when we talk about value. Forget about being able to give your value to somebody. You're much better off having value-based questions and understanding how to ask questions around what you do as a business and as a service that will open up the opportunity for you to educate people about what you do.
And so, Mark, as we're going through this, I'm thinking of someone in Deep Wealth Nation. They're listening to this and they're not untrained yet. They picked up all the bad habits, all the myths. They really are myths. They don't work. It sounded great. Saw it on
Yep.
some free kind of social media ad that
Sure.
was going on. And this guy's been successful, so I'm going to be successful with it, whatever the case may be with that. And they're thinking to themselves, Mark, I hear you, but who has the time for that? Wow, that's going to take a lot of time. Wait, first I got to be known for this person. Nothing to do with what I'm doing on the business side. A personal outreach. How can I help them? Talking of this, talking of that, trying to figure out how I can help with their problems, even though it's not in my area. And maybe somehow one day they're going to help me or I get interested and ask what they can do for me. Wow, I don't have that kind of time. So for that person who hasn't drunk the Mark Kool-Aid just yet, but they're going to, and they're going to love it, but they haven't done that yet, what would you tell them of why that's the only way to go?
Well, so what I would tell them is it doesn't take as much time as you think it does. Our goal and our expectations for anybody who does sales training with us is to have five relevant conversations a day. And those five relevant conversations a day can be 15 minutes long. So in 15 minutes, you can do everything that you need to do to at least start the right kind of relationship. And that together, five 15-minute conversations is an hour and 15 minutes a day. And that research that we're talking about in order to find something, thank you, God, for AI, because I can literally go into ChatGPT and I can say, hey, chat, here's everything you need to know about me. Every story, everything, you know me. I'm going to start asking you about other people in the world. And I would love for you to give me some ways that I might be able to approach them in a relevant, personal way that would help me start a conversation. So I could say, I'm reaching out to Jeffrey Feldberg from XYZ company. Can you help me develop a personalized message to him based on some commonalities that we might have that would help me get a conversation with him. AI is going to do that for you in 30 seconds. Might not give it to you in your exact language. You need to use it. You need to hear it. You need to go, great. How do I turn this into the way I would say it if I was approaching Jeffrey? And it's done like that. So it doesn't take as long as you think it's going to take. What it does take is discipline. And what it does take is consistency in doing it every day.
So a little bit of old school, sprinkling in some new school, otherwise known as AI, to help us with that. And Deep Nation, this is not a license just to do a copy and paste. Let AI do the heavy lifting. Let it find some of the common areas or some of the topics,
Bingo.
but then sprinkle in your own words, make the message your own. Probably 2 years ago, Mark, when AI was new for most people, and it's still new for a lot of people, I could probably do a copy and paste and most people wouldn't know. I think today, though, particularly with the younger people, whatever younger means to you, they can spot an AI message because they're just getting bombarded with it. So Deep Wealth Nation, leverage AI as a tool, but make it personal. Make it your own once it does the heavy lifting for you. On base or off base with that, Mark? Thoughts about that?
Spot on. Spot on. We believe heavily in using technology in what we do. And this is why we feel like it's never been easier to be in business development, because you can be in Hollywood and I can still get face to face with you. Virtual tools have offered us the opportunity to build rapport and build trust and build relationships without any geographical boundaries now. And so another significant tool that I think people need to understand how to leverage is asynchronous video. Whether you're sending video through text messages, whether you're sending them through emails, one-to-one video messaging allows me to get my face in front of your face, which in the history of business development and sales has been the ultimate goal. It is the gold that you have been panning for over and over, is to get that face-to-face time. Well, if I can drop a video inside of your text messages, inside of your DMs, inside of your email, inside of your inbox, that allows me to speak something relevant to you and build personal human connection with you on your time, not mine, the likelihood that the person is going to respond and say yes to spending more time with you is exponentially higher. Instead of knocking on 100 doors and having 2 answered, I could send 100 videos and have 50 responded to that are going to move to conversations, and I can send 100 videos a day. It's possible to do that.
And Deep Wealth Nation, as we're talking about this, I know you're thinking, oh, I'm not a video person. That just isn't for me. Hop on it. Do it. Your business future depends on it. And do it now, because I suspect, Mark, as we're talking about AI, I would love your thoughts about this. Having these self-generated videos, they are just around the corner. And soon this is going to be like everyone's doing it. So why not be the person that stands out? Do it right now. It's authentic. It's really me. This is not AI generated. It's a real Mark. It's a real Jeffrey. And I'm sending you a video, Mark, because I thought of this and just wanted to have a shout out to say hello. Here you go.
Nailed it, Jeffrey. And I think even as AI evolves and we're going to have these AI avatars that are able to replicate our voice and our words, and we're going to be able to create these videos, I think the humanization of it is the thing that wins. So if I detect any kind of bot or AI in the video, I'm going to be like, ooh, I don't know, this doesn't feel real. Whereas if it looks like me and I'm umming and ahhing and you can see the background in my office and you know I am a real person coming for a real conversation, this is where human connection will continue to win in business for as long as we are still humans and operating it. And it's a thing that allows you to win when you use video that way.
And Deep Wealth Nation, what Mark is telling you is not gold, it's platinum, Mark. I was speaking with someone who's in the production industry, and what they're telling me when they're shooting commercials, I'm talking high-end commercials for well-known logos and brands that most people would know, some of the shots, they're shaky. They look, in this other person's words, amateurish, because they want people to relate. Oh, yeah, this isn't so professional. I can relate to it. I mean, the human
Bingo.
psyche, it is so odd. We are so odd as a species that if it looks too good, I can't relate to it. Oh, it has a few faults. Yeah, I can relate to that. Okay, this must be the real deal here.
Bingo.
Go figure.
Bingo, exactly correct. And this is what we coach salespeople on across industries and across the country, is it shouldn't be a polished script that you're delivering to somebody in this video. It should be a human, as if you were sitting in front of them in their office, having a conversation with them. It is the way it should look and feel. So we advise against virtual backgrounds. We advise against scripts. Have an outline, know what you want to say. Don't be rambling on for minutes on end, right? Have a clear and concise message. But if you fumble over your words, or if you give an ooh or an ah, or you look up for a second to think, all of that is unbelievable humanization of the tool that's going to actually help you win.
Yeah, so vulnerability, Mark, is interesting as you're talking about that. Speaking to someone in the Deep Health community, and they had a team meeting. This is the founder, and the founder gets up and says, "Team, I don't have the answer. If I had the answer, I would have told you. I don't know what to do. I'm actually feeling scared right now. Business, we'll figure it out. It's going to be okay, but I need your help. Can you help?" And they had this offsite meeting. End of the meeting, one of the team members, otherwise known as an employee, comes up to the founder and says, "This was the best meeting ever. I really respected the fact that you just came clean. You didn't have the answer. You asked for our help. I really appreciated that. I felt so trusted." And they went on because the person was real. Instead of being, "I've got the answers. I've got this figured out. This is what we're doing."
Yep.
It's that vulnerability, and it transfers over into exactly what you're sharing.
And it's the exact same thing in sales, right? Yes, we want to have the answers and we want to be an expert in what we do, but there is going to be a question that pops up that you don't know. There's going to be something that gets brought to your attention that you go, "No, you know what? That's an excellent question. And I don't have the answer for you right now, but I will get the answer for you." And there's so much trust and rapport, and there's so much connectivity that is built through that instead of trying to BS your way through it or trying to think of an answer or create an answer on the fly. It just doesn't work like that anymore.
And so, with that in mind, and by the way, Deep Health Nation, go to the show notes. It's all there. One of the links is going to be ontheball.co, not .com, .co, ontheball.co. Everything that we're talking about, you'll see exactly what's there and what Mark is talking about. One of the things that you really are known for out there, when I was doing the research before today, it's the 1%.
Yeah.
Improving 1%, be 1% better every day. And on paper, oh yeah, hey, 1%, I can do that. Sure, Mark, no problem. Practically speaking, though, how do you really do that when you have those days where, hey, it feels like negative 100%? Forget the 1%. What can I do to really leverage that? Because it's brilliant. 1% a day, it's like the eighth wonder of the world. It's like compound interest. It's not 2% the next day because it's compounding one on top of the other on top of the other. It's remarkable. How do I make that a ritual? Not a to-do, but a ritual. And on the days where I don't feel like doing it, I can just get through it.
So we live by the motto, one is always better than zero. And so there's a day where I feel like I can't put a full hour in. There's a day where I feel like I can't get 20 videos sent. There's a day where I feel like I'm not going to be able to follow up with everybody. Are you at least getting one? Will you do one? Because as soon as you take that first step and you do one, maybe you'll get another, maybe you'll get another, but one is always better than zero. So there's just a couple of main principles there. It's number one, being crystal clear on your priorities. As a founder, as a business leader, I think you should have three priorities. You should have revenue. You should be focused on that and helping drive that. You have your internal team and you have your partners and clients. Those are your three main pillars, and everything else, everything should fall underneath those. Sure, you're going to have some ancillary things, right? You could talk about finance, you could talk about all the other HR, but really, if you talked about finance, who's that important for? That's important for revenue, and that's important for the employees, for your internal team. Because if there's no money, no payroll's not being made, and if payroll's not being made, that's bad for the team. So you should be able to align all of your priorities in running the business into those three priorities. And if you have them defined for you, you should then be able to talk about the behaviors that are associated with those. So reverse engineering the behaviors that are important for those priorities, whether it be one-on-one meetings, whether it be client relationship check-ins, whether it be lunch and learns, whatever the things are that you know are the behaviors that feed those priorities, you have to define those and they should be on your calendar. And that is the clear, simple system that will allow you to operate at a higher level and go, I'm at least going to do this. I'm not going to be able to do all of this today, but I know I can do this. And if I do this, we're getting a little bit better.
And as you're talking about that, I love it, by the way, everything that you're sharing, it really plays nicely into another one of your playbooks that you talk about, and that's all about mindset. So mindset to me in business, it's a superpower. It's free. It's overlooked. Most of us don't do it. What would you want Deep Health Nation to know about mindset? What your community have seen that for someone new to your community, they're going through the mindset playbook and they're coming back to you, Mark, wow, I never realized, or who would have thought, ... If you could finish that sentence, what would you say about mindset? What would you want the Deep Health Nation to know?
So there's two key principles to the mindset that we feel like cultivates high performance. The first is growth mindset. And thank you to Dr. Carol Dweck, who wrote a book about growth mindset and the difference between having a growth and fixed mindset, because it changes the way you view failure, changes the way you view challenges, it changes the way you view effort, and all of these things that we know are basically the foundation of success. But it makes it a non-negotiable for you as a growth-minded person. You're looking at failure as an opportunity to learn, and you're looking at obstacles as an opportunity to overcome something, and you're changing the way you actually view these things, which then changes the way you respond to them. The other part of it is extreme ownership. It's a wonderful book written by Jocko Willink, who's a former Navy SEAL, and it teaches you how to take responsibility for everything in your life. Everything that happens to you is not necessarily your fault, but it is your responsibility. And if you can take responsibility from it, you can learn from it, you can change how you respond from it, and you can use everything that happens to you as an opportunity for growth. So it's two core principles that we help cultivate through discipline, consistency, physical activity, reading, writing, all things that we know are good for us that we should be doing consistently. We put these behaviors in place, which help develop the mindset, which then creates the behaviors and the outputs.
And deportation, if you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, all these different concepts, where to begin? Where do I start? What do I do? Well, that's exactly what Marc and team does. Again, you go to the show notes, you click on the link, see what's there. One or two of the playbooks, maybe all the playbooks are going to appeal to you. And Marc, when you look back, and before we go into wrap-up mode, as you're looking back, maybe you have a particular client in mind. What's been one of the more surprising but pleasant things that you've heard from someone who's gone through your playbooks? They've gone through the system, they came back and said, wow, Marc, never would have believed if you would have told me this before I began. I would have said, no way, but actually it happened.
There's a company that we worked with out of San Diego that bought into our process wholesale and actually did a deal in the first 3 months that changed the entire trajectory of their business. And it was the one deal that absolutely set the revenue off the charts for the year and made them have a record year. And I think that testimonial is actually on our website. And then I think another one is somebody who looked at themselves as an operator inside of a business and somebody who maybe wasn't necessarily leadership material, went through 3 different promotions inside of 12 months and actually became a C-level leader inside of an organization by just working with us and changing the way, number one, they viewed themselves, but then the way they took responsibility in affecting not their business. They were actually an employee of a business, and they became what we like to call an entrepreneur in taking responsibility for the problems that existed and helping people solve them and creating solutions. And they went from being a manager inside of the business to a C-level leader in a matter of 12 months, all by just applying that mindset and those behaviors.
That's amazing. I know as a founder, one of my dreams has always been I don't want my team to think like employees. I want them to think like owners because we get astronomically different and better results when we do that. And Marc, before we go into wrap up mode, if there was one business strategy that we've been talking about, someone in Deep Wealth Nation, before they go to their next activity, they've just finished this episode, if they could do one thing, maybe low hanging fruit, that's going to get them a huge return on investment for their time. Anything that comes to mind of a strategy or an action that they can take?
Create your daily referral program. Make sure you are connected with everybody you know on LinkedIn. Go into those people's connections and start to filter it out with people that you should be introduced to and just say, hey, Jeffrey, saw you were connected to this person. How well do you know them? And would you mind introducing me? If you do that every day, it is an unbelievably high conversion percentage to new conversations, and it is the best way to be introduced to new revenue.
Absolutely love that. And it's right there. And we know these people anyways because they're in our immediate network. And hey,
Bingo.
Marc, you're my friend. You're coming. Jeffrey, I could use some help, buddy. Do you
Yeah.
see this person there? I see that you know them. Any chance you might be able to help me with that? And back and forth we go, of course I'm going to do it because if I can help you, why not? We're already beyond all those unknowns and
I do this in our business every day. And I can tell you yesterday, I went 2 for 2 for asking for introductions and getting those introductions.
it's like my grandmother, may she rest in peace. She always said, Jeffrey, if you never ask, you will never know. So always ask.
Ah, so good. Wise words.
And so that said, why don't we go into wrap them over? Actually, one more question that just popped into mind, and that is for the question I haven't asked. So before wrap up, if there's a question I haven't asked, or maybe a theme, a topic, or some kind of discussion area that we haven't yet covered, anything that you want to put out there for the Deep Wealth Nation?
More of a concept. Our company was founded out of the idea that everybody deserves to reach their potential, and it is impossible to reach your potential without being coached. So people think it's too expensive. People think it's not for them. People think that they can't get it. Our entire business model was to flip that on its head and make sure that everybody, whether you are inside of an organization, running an organization, has the opportunity to get coached and grow. And so if you have that desire, do everything you can to get the coaching necessary to reach your potential.
And Deep Wealth Nation, let me ask you this. What's it costing you to not do something? Something like what Marc is talking about, going through one of his playbooks or all of the playbooks. And I know you're saying, well, Jeffrey, hey, my budgets are spoken for. My time is spoken for. I'm just broke on those sides. Really? When it comes to your future, you're telling me that getting a high ROI for a relatively small investment, you're going to say no to that? Something to think about. That's a great takeaway for all of us to think about. And hey, all of the superstars that I know, both in business and life, even in sports, they have coaches
Yep.
because they know they don't know what they don't know. And the coach, that's what the coach is there to take them to the next level, just to make it
Bingo.
quicker, a little bit easier for them and get the absolute best from them. So that said, it's a perfect segue into our wrap up mode here, Marc. And it's a tradition here in the Deep Wealth Podcast. It's really my privilege, my honor. Every guest, I ask the same question. It's a fun question. Let me set this up for you. When you think of that classic movie, Back to the Future, you have that magical DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. So, Marc, it's tomorrow morning. You're looking outside your window, and there it is. The DeLorean car, it's not only curbside, but the door is open, is waiting for you to hop on in, what you do. And you're now going to go way into the past. Maybe it's Marc as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time it would be. What would you tell your younger self in terms of life lessons or lessons learned? Or, hey, Marc, do this, but don't do that. What would it sound like?
I would probably go back to 22-year-old Marc, who was starting his career and had so much urgency and impatience to get to where he wanted to go. And I would just tell him, enjoy the ride. Have some patience. Trust that everything will work out better than you could ever imagine it. Just put in the work every day and enjoy the ride.
Wow, I love that. Enjoy the ride. Trust in yourself, but enjoy the ride. It's such great advice. And, as entrepreneurs, we take it for granted. I get to the top of one mountain. Okay, time to get to the next top of the
Yep.
mountain. And we're never really enjoying the ride, not realizing it's not the destination,
And
it's
we
the
want to
journey.
curse the struggles, right? We want to get mad when the obstacles happen and when it's not going exactly the way we want it. But that is the ride. And that is what's going to take us to the next place. And I spent far too many days in my early career complaining about the obstacles that we had instead of just being like, this is a part of the ride. And I know it's going to get us to where we need to go. We just got to continue to grow from here.
Absolutely love that. And for someone in the Deep Wealth Nation, Marc, they want to speak to you. Better yet, they want to start working with you. They want one of your playbooks, all your playbooks for them, for the team. Where would be the best place online to find you?
Well, we don't gate any of our information. So ontheball.co is a great place for people to just consume information from us. And then if you want to get to me directly, my LinkedIn, Marc Nudelberg, send me a connection request with a note. If you don't have a note, I don't know who you are. So make sure you attach that note to the connection request and let me know where you're referencing and where you're coming from. But I connect with everybody. I answer everybody's messages, and I'm always down to grab a 15-minute virtual coffee.
And hey, Deep Wealth Nation, why not take Marc up on his offer? I mean, here's the fellow who's saying this is the way to go. Why don't you see how he responds to you and take a few notes? I'm sure you'll come out of that interaction a whole lot better than you went into it. And Deep Wealth Nation doesn't get any better. It's all point and click. Go to the show notes. It's all there. Nothing to remember, just a point and click. Well, Marc, congratulations. It's official. This is a wrap. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
Jeffrey, thank you.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribes, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.